All right, so this is the portion that you are allowed to use a calculator on, just like on the ACAP. So let's look at these. These are the solving equations, inequalities, and the proportions. So number one is, which of the following is true about the equation shown below? So we don't need a calculator on this one. It's just knowing what to do first. This is a two-step equation. We wrote down the steps for two-step equations lots of times. Now, I don't have to solve this one. The first step is going to be, I'm going to add 8 to both sides. You're always going to do the opposite of what's going on with your constant there. So if I were to solve this one, I would need to add 8. So A is not right. It's saying we're subtracting. We're definitely not going to do that, right? So we're definitely not subtracting. So that definitely makes C also not true. Both A and B are true. So I can also see if the value is -4. Excuse me. So a couple of different ways I could figure that out. I could solve it if I did want to do that. That would give me -4x equals 32. And then I would divide both sides by -4. That's not going to give me -4 as a value. Or I could just plug -4 in, right? I could do -4 times -4 minus 8 to see if I get -24. And I don't, right? I get 16 minus 8, which is definitely 8. So the correct answer for number 1 is D. None of those are true. Number 2, I do have to solve. Several of you guys like to draw the line like I did on the last one. Feel free to do that. Definitely not required. Again, adding and subtracting, I would be subtracting 12. That's the opposite of adding 12. That's going to leave you with a -4x equals 12. 24 minus 12 is 12. And you're going to divide both sides by -4. Pardon me. So that's going to leave me with x equals -3 as a solution for number 2. Number 3, 5 friends each bought a movie ticket and 2 candy bars. The movie tickets were priced at $6 each. If the total cost for all 5 friends was $57, what was the price for 1 candy bar? Okay, so this is like a multi-step problem. The total cost, so I'm looking for the price of 1 candy bar. So one thing, a good habit to do is pick a variable. I'm going to stick with X just because that's what we did in class. You're more than welcome to use any variable you're comfortable with. But I know that X is going to equal the price of 1 candy bar. It's always important to understand what it is you're looking for. So I always like to write that down. Now, 5 friends bought a movie ticket, and each ticket was $6. So I know off the bat that is $30, right? 5 times 6 is 30. So I know part of that $57 is $30. And each friend bought 2 candy bars. Okay, so think about that. If 5 friends and they each bought 2 candy bars, that means there were 10 candy bars bought. But I don't know how much they are, so I don't know what to multiply that by. That is where our X comes in. And I know the total, meaning I'm going to add them together, is $57. So one way I could solve that, of course, is by writing an equation like I just did and solving it. All right, so here we go. So here's my line. Really quickly, I will be subtracting the 30 because that's my constant, not my X value. That's going to leave me with 10x equals 27. And then I'm going to divide both sides by 10 on this one. I'm totally running into my answer line. I do get x equals 2.7. Now I'm talking about cost here, right? X is the price of 1 candy bar, so I'm going to write it as $2.70. That's number 3. Number 4, I've got to use the distributive property. Well, I don't have to. Different ways to do this one, but in class, I think that was the most consistent way, so I'm going to stick with that one. 1/5 times 25. 1/5 times 25. Now, again, you're more than welcome to use a calculator here. Matter of fact, I'm going to show you something really cool here in a second. But that's the same thing as saying 25 divided by 5. We talked about that. If you have 1/5 or 1 over whatever, you know you're actually dividing. So that's just 5. And the same thing whenever I do 1/5 times 20. That's the same thing as saying 20 divided by 5. So that's 4. So as long as you know your multiplication tables, that one's not so terrible. So 1/5 times 25, that's going to be 5W plus 4, and that equals 15. So really, once you get rid of that fraction in the front and you multiply, I will be just a two-step equation. All right, I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides. You get 5W equals 11. When I divide by 5 here, I'm going to get a fractional answer. I get W equals 11/5. Again, I'm going to go ahead and write that as a mixed number. 5 will go into 11 2 times with 1 left over, 2 and 1/5. That's number 4. Number 5, same thing, but no distributive property. So another two-step equation, subtracting 9 from both sides. Excuse me. Okay, so what do I get? I get 3/5 x equals 27 minus 9 is 18. And then I need to get rid of the fraction. So this is keep, change, flip, right? If anytime you divide by a fraction, that's the same thing, and I'm going to write it to the side as 18 divided by 3/5. Again, you're more than welcome to use a calculator on this portion. We did it several times without a calculator. This is the same thing as 18 times 5 over 3. I'm going to reduce first. We talked about that in class as well. Like 18, I can reduce this. The 18 and the 3. 3 will go into 18 6 times. So really, I'm just doing 6 times 5. The answer is 30. That's number 5. Number 6, a painting company was hired to paint the walls in a new house. The painting company charges $40 per hour. So each hour it's $40 plus, ooh, I see that plus sign there, plus $90 supply fee. Which equation would be used to find X, the number of hours spent painting, if the company charged exactly $590? So it's $40 per hour. So I know I'm going to have a 40x in there. So I know automatically D and A are not correct answers. Plus, guys, plus 90. So C is the correct answer on that one. I will not be subtracting. So that's the answer to 6. $40 per hour plus the $90 fee is $590. Number 7, this is an inequality. It's 2 steps, so everything other than a little bit is basically the same. So I can still do the line. I'll still subtract 5 from both sides, which is going to leave me with negative 2x is less than 12. But we learned a new rule. The rule is if I divide or multiply both sides of an inequality by a negative number, like I just did here, I have to turn my inequality sign around. So I still get the same value calculating wise. It's just I have to make sure I write my answer correctly, which would be x is greater than a negative 6. Again, I had to flip that inequality because I divided both sides by a negative number. That's number 7. Number 8, same thing. This one just happens to be a little bit bigger. I want to show you guys. Let me not get ahead of myself. Subtract 45 from both sides on this one. So this is one I have a feeling several of you guys would probably want to pick up a calculator on. Now, if you're good with numbers, this one's actually not so bad. You do get 11x is less than or equal to 220. So this one turns out pretty nicely. When you divide by 11, or you get 20. But I do want to show you something really quick. X is less than or equal to 20 is the correct solution for number 8. And now notice I didn't have to flip that one because I divided by a positive 11. Subtracting doesn't change your inequality sign, only dividing or multiplying by a negative. So I found a calculator. Here we go. There we go. So if you go to TI84calc.com, yep, and you're going to get a couple ads because this is free, but it's pretty cool. On the top, if you click on TI30XS calculator, this is just like our calculator that we've been learning on in class. So if you feel like you need extra practice and you don't have one of these calculators at home, this is a free website and it's really great. So I just wanted to pull this up and show you guys. It looks just like it, displays the same. It's pretty wonderful. Kind of got a little excited whenever I found it earlier. But there you go. I just wanted to show you that. And we'll end up using it here in just a second. All right, so let's go back to our test. Number 9. Number 9, what you're trying to do, and I'm sorry that I had to do this weird. I was trying to fit everything on one piece of paper. You're trying to match the number line with the correct inequality. Okay, so I can see here that, first of all, it is a closed circle. That's really important. The fact that it's a closed circle automatically eliminates B, C, E, and D. Simply because those are just greater thans or less thans. With the closed circle, it has to have an equal to underneath it, so that means it's either A or F. I can also see that it is between -2 and -3, so that would definitely be -2.5, which tracks because that's the only number for A and F. And then we've got to be careful about which way the inequality is facing. Now, we said in class lots and lots of times it's really super helpful to have that X on the left side, kind of like how A is written. But I know A is not right because that is a greater than sign and the shading would be in that direction. If I took F and flipped it, and we did that again lots of times. So if I trade the X and the -2.5 on F, I also have to flip that inequality sign, which definitely would give me the right answer for this one because less than -2.5 is shading to the left like it is in my graph. That's number 9. Excuse me. So number 10. Number 10, I do need to solve this one, but automatically, like, I really like to, one thing I like about multiple choice, even though I actually hate multiple choice, but one nice thing is it is helpful. Like, automatically, I know B is not my answer because that is, again, a closed circle. And I can see here that this inequality does not have an equal to underneath it, so it should be an open circle. So it's got to be one of the other 3. All right, I do have to solve this one. I'm going to kind of come over here so I'll have a little bit more room. 4x plus 12 is greater than 46. So just like the other ones, I would have to subtract 12 from both sides. That's going to give me 4x is greater than, what, 34? Yes, okay. Making sure my brain's on. Again, it is late. So I'm dividing by 4 here. Excuse me. Again, you're more than welcome to use a calculator on this one. Ooh, so this is a perfect time. Let's talk about this. 34 over 4. We talked about this in class. If you use the fraction button, and I decide to do 34 over 4, all right, that's going to give me 17 halves. If I need to change that to a a mixed number, second, I'm going to use that button. Remember, we talked about that. That's 8.5. If you use the division symbol, 34 divided by 4, that's going to give you the decimal. Obviously, on this particular problem, it doesn't matter. I just wanted to remind you of that because that's kind of important. So the answer is 8.5, or that's the value. So x would be greater than 8.5. So we just need to look and see about where 8.5 is. So I'm guessing, since that's 8 and that's 10, that would be 9. So here it's over 9. And on this one, it looks like it's over 9.5, right? This is between 9 and 10. That would be 9.5. So here I can see that's definitely 8.5. It is shading to the right. It is greater than. C is the correct answer for number 10. Number 11, a wedding planner is ordering cupcakes for a wedding reception. The bakery charges $4.50 per cupcake. Each cupcake's $4.50 plus, look at that, same pattern as before, that $25 fee. Here in this problem, She wants to spend no more than $385. Remember we talked about that in class? That means that's her budget. She has $385, but she can't go over that $385 budget. So it has to be less than or equal to $385. So immediately C and D are not the correct answers because those are both greater than signs. And look, $4.50 per cupcake. That means I know that $4.50 is going to be times my variable plus the $25 delivery fee. B is the correct answer for number 11. Number 12. Going right into those lovely proportions that we have been practicing on for the last several weeks. A musician projects that he will earn $400 for every 1,000 songs downloaded. So which of the following equations can be used to represent the proportional relationship? Remember to find that constant of proportionality. It's y divided by x. That's the formula we wrote down so many times. So here it says the number of songs is x. So that number is going to go on the bottom. And the number of, or the amount of earnings is y. So that would go on the top. 400 divided by 1,000. Excuse me, gosh. Is going to be, of course, 0.4. 0.40 is looks like what they're going with here. The equation for proportional reasoning, y equals kx. That was the equation that we used for direct variation or proportions, proportional relationships. So I know since this is 0.4 or 0.40, the correct answer is A. We're just going to put that K right there. Make sure you're doing that in the right spot. Number 13, Grant runs a fifth of a lap in a third of a minute. So how many laps can he run every minute? This is the unit rate. It's laps per minute. So I need to do laps divided by minutes. Laps per minute. So 1/5 divided by 1/3. Again, you're more than welcome to use a calculator on this portion. I'm going to choose to not to because I don't want to have to switch screens because it's just keep, change, flip, guys. This is super easy. That's going to give me 3/5. That means he can run 3/5 in 1 minute, 3/5 of a lap. That is a D answer to that one. Number 14, finding the constant of proportionality based on a graph. Remember how we talked about you want to find those exact points. Those exact points. Feel free to use any of those. Same thing though. This is y, this is x. X is x-axis. My constant of proportionality is y over x. So like for example, if I wanted to use this first point, which is going to be the easiest one, I can see my y value is 10. My x value is 1. 10 over 1 is 10. So the constant proportionality is 10 miles an hour. That's number 14. Number 15, go into a table. Which of the following represents the relationship in the table? Again, it is y divided by x. K is y divided by x. And then the equation is y equals k times x. Use any one of them. Since we know that it's a proportional relationship, it doesn't matter which one you use. So I'm just going to go with the first one. 1/4. Y divided by x, 1/4. So that's going to be D. Y equals 1/4 x. Number 16, which of the following represents a non-proportional? Okay, non-proportional. Remember we talked about proportions have to look like this. If you start adding or subtracting something, that's not proportional. So immediately, A is the answer because look, $30 an hour. Oh, wait. Oh, never mind. No. I was thinking of the one I did for my practice. Let me back up. Sorry. It's going to be D. There we go. Because that plus, right? Plus. $4 per cup plus 50 cents per topping. Notice how all of the rest of them don't have that. I'm not adding or subtracting anything else to any of those other situations. D is the not proportional relationship on 16. 17, which of the following tables represent a proportional relationship? Again, automatically, I know B is not the correct answer because it has to go through the origin, and that does not. I can't immediately tell on A, because they don't give me 0 as an option, but I can do some quick division. Again, if there's a constant of proportionality, it has to be y divided by x. So if I did 5.5 divided by 1, and then I did 8 divided by 2, those are not the same. They are not constant. Those are different values. A is not a solution. So C and D are a little tricky. We had one like this in class, actually. You need to check to make sure that they do work. So like on D, for example, it definitely fits the bill as far as going through the origin. That's wonderful. But then whenever I start doing my y divided by x, kind of like on A, if I were to do 2 divided by 1, that's 2. But if I did 6 divided by 2, that's 3. Those are not constant. Those are not the same. D is not the correct answer. Of course, that leaves C, and you can go and check 12.5 divided by 2, 25 divided by 10. All of those answers are going to give you a constant proportionality of 2.5. So C is the correct answer there because the y divided by x does check out. All right, last two, here we go. Mr. Matthews is working at a new company. We'll have to travel to meet his clients, and here you can see the days worked and his miles traveled. So we're going to use those to answer the questions. So the first thing it asked me to do is to write an equation. Again, the equation is y equals kx. In order to find that k, I do have to do y divided by x. Pardon me. So in order to find that k, good gracious, sorry guys. The total number of miles is the y, and the days worked is x. It says so right here. Okay. Just reading in the problem. So to find my k for number 18, I can again use any pair. I'm just going to use the first one. It's 122 divided by 4. So I'm going to use my calculator on this one simply because I haven't done it yet. Oh, there we go. Again, you can do 122. There we go. Sorry about that. I can do 122 over 4 and get that mixed number. All right, that's 30.5. Or I can do 122 divided by 4 and get that decimal 30.5, which is the one I'm assuming you guys are going to go with. So that is going to be my constant proportionality, which would make my equation y equals 30.5x. Now, how many miles will he travel if he works 11 days? So x is, again, the number of days. So to find the solution to this one, I'm just going to use my formula, my little equation. If x is the number of days, 30.5 times 11 will give me the correct answer for 19. 30.5 times 11, if it goes, oops, let's clear that out. 30.5 times 11 is going to be 335.5. 335.5 miles. All right, and that is the portion in which you are allowed to use a calculator on solving equations, inequalities, and proportions.